so I'm on page 126, so hopefully you're on page 126. Hopefully you have a page that you wrote some answers to 126. Does anybody need any advice about how to improve your 126 before you get to a life point where you're turning this in saying this is as good as it can ever be? Anybody have anything on your mind? Hang on. I'll say this, if you do number 4 correctly, you should have 6 matchups. Unlike number 1, like 1A has 1 matchup, B has a matchup, C has 1, D has 1. Actually, one of them didn't even have any matchups. It was a failure. On A, B, C, D, one of them, your answer would be to say, I can't do that, those don't match. But 3 of them match, and you would just get 1 kind of a matchup established. 4, you should be able to establish 6 matchups. 5, you should be able to establish 6 matchups. 6 is more like 1. It's 1 matchup per customer. 6A is 1, 6B is 1, 6C is 1, 6D is 1. 7, A, B, C, D, they each have 1 matchup. 8 is where we stop. 8, I told you, you could use the definitions we have in the quiz for some of them, but other ones you might have to either look it up or make it up. Look it up in the book, look it up on the internet, or just make it up from your brain.
How do we do number 4?
Okay, let me do number 5. So if I'm doing 5, I would have the A, B, C, D, E, F shape matched up with which other shape?
The one with the
U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And we'd want to do them so that the letters matched up. So I'd go A, B, C, D, E, F, arrow. If we picked up the UV shape and swirled it and laid it on its friend, which letter would end up getting set upon the A?
Is it the U?
It wouldn't be the U.
The W?
It would be the W. The A is like in that corner, like at the bottom left. I'm looking at this in my mind as like sort of like a shield, but it had a chip taken out of it at the bottom right. So I'm trying to position that UV shield so that it's spun and the chip got taken out of it at the bottom right. So like BC to me sticks out as matching XY. That makes the A match the W. The BC matches the XY. Who does D friend up with?
Z.
Z. E is like the very topmost part of my shield. That goes with
U.
U, and then I'm only left with 1 letter at that point, which is the V. So that's A matchup. You okay with that one?
Yeah.
So then I'd go look at my RST friend. So which shape can friend up with the RST?
Is it the PMN?
I'd say the PMN. So if we spin it so they sit on top of each other, the RT is the shorty. T has a right angle. So the RT short side has to match up with
PN?
P and N. N is the right angle that matches the T. So T's position is the N. The P's position was the R. And then the S must just be with the M because I'm running out of letters. So now I've got 2 established. Anybody not good with those 2 from 5? Then JKL is where it gets interesting. JKL has more than 1 possible friend. Why does JKL have more than 1 possible friend?
Can it be like...
Because it can go with itself.
Because it can go with itself. or it could go with
Like the flipped version.
the flipped version of it. Like JKL can go with JKL if we turn it, but who else can JKL go with?
JLK.
Yeah, but a different trio of letters.
HI, the GHI.
The GHI thing. And the JKL can go with GHI not just one way, but two. Because the GHI is also like reversible. So if I want to do JKL, I could do JKL on top of itself. Who's going to trade spots if we spin JKL and put it on itself?
JLK.
It'll be JLK. K and L would like switch roles. So I could do JKL like on itself. I could also go JKL on the other shape. Who does J go with on the other shape? J with
I.
I. So K and L could go with
G and H.
G and the H. However, which two letters are reversible on the IGH because it mirrors?
G and H.
G and H. So I could switch G and H, leave I, and that's still friends with JKL. JKL has three friends. JKL is friends with itself if backward, friends with the other shape, friends with the other shape even if the other shape goes backward. So there's five. What's the sixth one? Somebody other than Joseph.
JLK and IGH.
Now we ran out of JKL. We got JKL is out of business now. We got every friend for it. There's one more way we can set up a match. We can do IGH with itself, just spun into what? IHG. Now there's six options. That was your question. Are you with that? Anybody not with what just happened on 5? There's 6 plays you can make. Number 4 also has 6 plays you can make. I did 5 because it's in the back, so I didn't really give away anything for free in a sense for any of you dishonest customers. But if you understand 5, you can do 4. Because in 4, who's the reversible shape on 4?
CAP.
Yeah, that ABC can go forward backward, and who's its friend who can also mirror forward backward?
LMN.
The LMN. So the way we got a ton of matchups out of those two, the ABC, LMN, they can create 4 matchups just among themselves. And then there's a grand total of 6 off of number 4. Anybody else have something off of page 126 that I can help you so that it's better than it is at present? So if you turn this in and I check it right wrong, you can do that with a degree of confidence. Yes,
So for number 4, there'll be exactly 6.
there should be 6. If you have more than 6, what you did is repeated yourself. So if I say A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you say F, E, D, C, B, A, and over, what would you have to do over here?
We would just turn that one around.
Turn that one around backward. So if I say this in my paper and you say that instead on your paper, you're okay. You annoyed me a little bit because you made me work. Like I've got to reshuffle yours. My heavy preference is go alphabetical order on the one so that the other one, I don't have to like grade this homework by unscrambling every correspondence because there's like something like 720 ways to scramble this one, I believe. And that's a lot of ways to scramble those letters. But if you said this and you said that also, you only said one thing. You acted like you said 2 things, but you didn't really. Do you understand what I mean? So you could sit here, just by unscrambling this, you could write 720 items. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for 1 A, B, C, D, E to this matchup. It's the JKL forward, backwards, and the IJKs. That's where you start to get multiple matchups.
And then for number 2, it would just be like, which one?
2 has 2 misfits. So like B, can anybody spot who B matches? B matches G. So what B is missing is 1 crossbar of a star inside. G is missing 1 crossbar of a star that's inside. So B and G are friended, that's not gonna be your answer. Your answer will not include B or G. Everybody that has a friend gets cut, and when you cut them 2 by 2 by 2, you cut them. You're left with 2 oddballs that don't have friends. And that's what you're saying is, this one doesn't have a friend, that one doesn't have a friend. There's one that pretty obviously, in my opinion, doesn't have a friend, and I'm not gonna say which one it is, but there's one real quick that stands out to most people of like, yeah, that didn't have a partner. And then there's one more that's kinda like some other ones, but it's like not, it just isn't quite a match. Is that enough of a tip? Yeah.
Did you say that on number 1 that 3 of them were?
Yeah, 3 of them are a match for their friend, and there's a 4th that they're not the same size at all. And you would just say, failure, wrong size. They're not identical. You're looking for identical twins, and one of them is like big brother, little brother. There's one that's a good like 35% bigger than its partner.
Wait, on number 1?
On number 1. Yeah, number 1, there's 3 of those 4 have a perfect twin. And you do an answer for those 3. But there's a 4th one where they maybe did something like this. Those aren't congruent. Even though they're the same shape, they're not the same size. This is a good like 75% bigger than that friend. On number 1, there's one of them it's a definite big brother, little brother moment, and you just say, nah, those aren't congruent. I can't play that game. Is that an okay answer? Did you follow? Yeah. Anybody else, anything about this 1 to 8 that I can increase your skill or confidence level in what you are doing?
So for like 2, would you pretty much just like flip the shape, and if it flips the shape, then it just like goes on top of each other?
Yeah,
That works.
you're looking to find, do you understand how B and G are friends? Like if you rotate B,
Yeah.
it matches G.
Yeah.
So that excludes B and G.
Okay.
Maybe C has a partner, maybe C doesn't have a partner. But if C has a partner, you exclude those 2.
Okay.
If C does not have a partner, then C gets to be part of the answer. So what 2 has is B and G are buds. There's another pair that are buds. There's another pair that are matchups.
Okay.
Then there's 2 just weird ones that don't have a matching partner. And your answer would be to say like, this one doesn't have a match and that one doesn't have a match.
Yeah.
You follow what we're looking?
Yeah.
One of the ones that doesn't have a match is kind of obvious, but the other one, it looks a lot alike. Like I would say, which 3 sort of look alike, but they're not all the same?
Like C, F, and H.
C, F, and H. So like 3 of them are kind of alike, 2 of them are perfectly alike, and the other one is just kind of alike but different. It doesn't quite like line up. Anybody else 126? Anything I can do to increase people's confidence levels in what you're saying about anything 126 based?
Will these be due to mark?
I was gonna grab these today if they're as perfect. You know what? I'll grab them tomorrow. I will do that. So if they're as perfect as they are at this moment, and the only thing that could happen is you lose it, you can send it. If you feel like you could improve that in the next 24 hours, then improve that in the next 24 hours. But we'll call it quits for a second on 126. Then let's play on 133. So 133, you're playing almost the same game. The star of the show on 133 was the CPCTC fact. That's probably the number 1 star. Whenever I start talking about CPCTC, how many items are we listing?
6.
6. 3 about angles, 3 about sides. So that's a lot what's going on in this homework, is making these lists of 6. Make sure if you're doing the angles, which symbol are we using? Congruent. If we're doing the segment hats, what symbol are you doing? Congruent. What if you wanted to do the angles, but with an equal sign?
Measure.
You'd have to put the measures on. And it's up to you. Pick one. What if you want to do the equal sign on segment life? Then you scribble out those segment hats. You just erase them like they weren't there. So instead of saying like AB is a match for CD with the hats, you say AB equals CD but without the hats. That's most of what you're doing on this. The other thing you're doing is answering questions about included. So 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Who do 1 and 2 include?
B.
B. A different voice, who includes C? 2 and 3. A different voice, who includes A? 1 and 3. Switch it up, a fourth voice ideally. Who includes A? Did I already do that one?
Yeah, you just did that.
just-
That's the one you just did.
Who do A and B include? Sorry, lost my train of thought. 1. Who includes 2? B and C. Who includes 3? Okay, we're doing that. That's what most of the homework is either CPCTC lists or that game. Can I do anything for anybody on the 133? It went to 10, mostly either include or CPCTC lists. I highly endorse the idea of anything odd, look it up in the back, just make sure you're on track, verify your answers. That's always a smart thing to do. Nothing, 133, we feel good about that? Okay, so same deal, people that are at the ends of the rows, if you can keep these separated into piles. If your 133 is as great as it's ever going to be, just send it down because it's safer with me than maybe getting lost if it went with you. If it's going to be better 24 hours from now, make it better. I'll check you then. And then we're up to 139. 139 is where we had the unveiling of ASA, SAS, and SSS. So number 1, you're exclusively looking for SASs and saying which ones are and which ones aren't. For 2, that's usually the most challenging question, so I could make up a question like 2 if people weren't quite grasping what that was supposed to be about. 3 is like the worksheet we did. The difference on 3 compared to the worksheet is, on the worksheet, if it was SSA, I was writing SSA. On the quiz, if it's like an SSA, I was having you write SSA. But on this, if it was something like SSA, they wanted you to write no. They'd want you to do ASA, or SAS, or SSS, or just say no, I don't want to, I can't do it. If you happen to put SAA or something like that, that's fine, you don't have to change those. But you could have just said no, I can't for a lot of these.
Can we go for problem like number 2?
Yeah. So what they're doing for 2, foundational piece of important knowledge. For us to run one of these new postulates, for the triangles to be congruent, how many items do we need? 3. Because they're all 3-letter things. ASA stands for that you have an angle, a side, and an angle. We need 3 items known to us. So what they did on this homework section is said, we're going to get you close, but not all the way. So they're going to go, maybe they give you a side and another side. I like to spell people's names. So if they draw you a side and they draw you another side, they could then ask you to finish this. Which of our 3 big 3 in the club has at least 2 sides involved? SSS has at least 2 sides involved, so does SAS. So what they're asking you to do is, for example, say, we got you most of the way to SSS. if you were gonna get the rest of the trip, what would you have to get? Which pieces are you missing for an SSS match? You'd have to draw on
LU,
LU, and you'd have to draw on
RN.
RN. And if we drew on LU, and we drew on RN, now we've completed the trifecta of 3 items, and we've got our stuff. Since these are segments, I could either right now put equals, or if I wanted the segment hats, congruent, pick a style that you like. You good with that so far?
Yeah.
Okay, then act like we didn't complete it that way. We could have just as easily tried to do an SAS kind of completion. We've got the 2 sides, side, side, check, check. Which angle would we want to make it an SAS? Angle A, and angle A's friend over here would be angle E. And then with angles, I like to do the congruent sign. I don't like to put the little M's on things. But if you put the little M's and put an equals, that's just as good. That can be your style if you like it. Follow that. So that's what they're doing on 2. Each setting in 2, they gave you 2 pieces, and then they asked you to go grab another piece, so you'd have 3. Okay, so I don't know where the battery died, so potentially the question on hand was just recognizing what's what. So ASA would be 2 angles, and then the side that's included. If the side is included between the angles, we're going ASA. If I have 2 angles like that, but a side that's somewhere else, like here or here, that's angle, angle, side. Or if you prefer, side, angle, angle, it doesn't matter if you name them that. If I want to go SAS, I need 2 sides for SAS, but the angle that's included, the one where they're touching each other. If I do 2 sides and then an angle somewhere else where they're not touching each other, one of those 2 locations, that's SSA, and that's the only one we can't reverse backward because it's a square root. Is that good?
Yeah.
Anybody else anything off of the 139? Somebody this year will spell the square root. It's in the.
I already almost did it.
Yeah, then I'll usually just put a frowny face on your paper, but
Yeah, I almost did it without thinking.
anybody,
Especially
anything
if you
else?
just get in the habit of going like one way each time.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, I'm just writing them so
There's
fast.
there's also a thing in trig where this is a thing and then you put an X after it every time. It's inevitable that at some point in trig, somebody is gonna just spell sex. It just like, it happens. And then I'm forced to just say something smart. Last call, 139. Any more I can do with you there? Okay, so same story, people down there, if you can keep these separated into piles. The 139 down it goes. If it's going to be better in 24 hours, get me in 24 hours. 143, we have underway the 1 to 6. So let's lay some foundation for this 143, I guess, to get you to a better position of strength. Let's just do 1, just to get the momentum build up. So 1, they're doing a fill in the blank proof. People who have gained a little bit of experience in the last 24 hours or so, whenever I see that picture, I know something that's coming. Anybody have a memory of, we see that picture, who's going to probably be in this proof? Reflexive. Okay, was it?
Yeah.
Yep, number 4. So we didn't have to fill that in, but we were in a position of strength if we had to. In the given, because they used this side, what would be a pretty fair bet of what would happen would get used as a reason at some point?
Perpendicular.
Definition perpendicular. Whose definition perpendicular is best friend? Theorem 4.4. Those got used, so that didn't help us fill in the blanks. But if we had been abandoned on our own and made to do this proof ourselves, you'd have had to come up with those ideas. If you're starting to make those connections, that's good. Because a week ago, would you have made any of those connections? No, okay. But if we're making them today, you're a lot smarter than you were a week ago. So situation on this one, they're saying in the givens that CD is perpendicular to AB. So at some point during this proof, they typed it out for us that these would form right angles. And we know that right angles are
Congruent.
congruent. So that's theorem 4.4, that's definition perpendicular. They didn't make us do that ourselves. They told you AD is a match for BC, so mark those up. We said we recognized reflexive was coming, so mark that up. So then let's fill in what's short. So how did they say statement 2?
CBs.
What's the reason? Reason 2.
Given.
Given. That statement was in the given list, so reason 2, we're just going to go given. Reason 5. How do I have the picture marked? What kind of a markup is this?
SAS.
It's an SAS. So reason 5 is an SAS. For statement 5, we just have to be careful to get the letters in the right order. If we friend up these triangles, A, D, C, who is A's friend in the mirror triangle?
B,
B. Who's D's friend?
D,
And C's friend?
C.
And that's the kind of thing you're trying to do on 1. Anybody question about 1, about the kind of thing you're trying to do with that fill-in proof?
Do you have to copy everything or just?
You do not. No. So if they drew the columns and they are filling in the blanks, they'll always tell you to copy it, and we always say no thank you. Okay. The only ones you have to copy on this 1 to 6 would be 4 and 6. When we step into the newest homework, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, those are all full-on proofs. You'd have to copy picture, given, proof, columns, you know, the whole 9 yards. Anybody that got started on the 1 to 6, that hit trouble on the 1 to 6, I'll try to give you a nudge on some 1 to 6. But if you didn't start it yet, I'm not really willing to give away more than what I already did.
Wait, so is it going to 11 or 12?
11, I believe.
Okay.
We usually stop, the way the book is illustrated to us, there's usually a blue line. The blue line is usually a signifier of the so-called easier part is over, and they're about to go up a notch on us. I don't usually cross that line. And then there's a double line that means,
It's hard.
look out, man, look out world, because this is going to be rough. I rarely cross that line. If ever, maybe never, I don't know.
Since it's like the same page, can we do it on the same page?
Sure, you can do it all in one big page. Yep. Did anybody start the 1 to 6 and hit any like, ooh, sort of times of it? Okay, so game plan then for tomorrow, we go 5-4B quiz. I already told you the best way to prep for that was fill in the empty sheet from memory and just analyze what you do and what you don't know. If you have stuff you don't know, probably ask Hayden, right? Someday, and I'm not determined yet which day it would be, this is a thing that'll happen. Like we filled this in, statement, reason, 21 of those. That's a thing that will be a quiz. Tomorrow's Thursday, maybe that's a Friday, I'm not sure. There's nothing new to read, we're still just camped out here for a day. Your next read, obviously it's going to be 5-5, that'll be for Friday. You'd have a read of 5-5 for Friday. I'm thinking this, because there won't be a read for Monday, I'd probably do this Monday. And then you'd have the weekend to like study it or forget it. Hopefully study it, not forget it. But I'm thinking maybe Monday, wouldn't you rather do this on a day you're not reading anew? I would think. So the Friday quiz we'll take, and then the Monday, we could hit this up because there wouldn't be a read for the Monday.